Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Bama Factor with Alex Taylor. I am your host, as always, Alex Taylor, and very happy to be bringing you the first College Huddle collab here on the page. I have with me for this episode Stephen from Topper Talk, who is also a College Huddle member as well. Stephen, how are you? Yes, sir, no problem. So, obviously, Stephen, we're each a member of the College Huddle. But just tell all the viewers out there just how long you've obviously been a part of Topper Talk and just where they can locate you on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, anywhere else. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, really, the College Huddle has provided uh, so much potential, I think, for all of our podcasts as far as it goes. And just the opportunities that we have with each other throughout the season now, especially with football kicking off again, and then basketball will be around the corner as well. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely incredible. So for obviously all the viewers out there, this episode is just going to be a preview of Alabama Western Kentucky, who kick off next Saturday in Tuscaloosa at 6:30, I believe, on ESPN. Um, and obviously, two pretty storied off seasons for each of these programs, and so we're just gonna kind of hit on those a bit, and just kind of hit on the Tides offense against the Toppers defense, and also we'll speak of the Tides defense against the Toppers offense. We'll talk about some keys to the game, and then we'll give our predictions for our respective teams as well. So, Steven, I'll start with you. So, just off-season wise, transfer portal, coaching staff, any players that you added, any players that you lost. How do you think your Hilltoppers did? Um, like overall grade for them this off season? What's some things you think they did good, and what's some things they think that they maybe kind of struggled with in the off season? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of kept up with y'all in the offseason as well. This obviously being Alabama's opening game of the season. I always try to study the other team each week as well because I'm not just an Alabama fan. I'm a college sports fan as well. But also like I try to really keep up with all the teams. And sure enough, adding T.J. Finley, it's kind of hard to believe. I was talking with a few friends of mine and. We were talking about. I said TJ's going to be playing Alabama for the third time at his third different school. Uh, and he got a taste of us his freshman year at LSU, and then 2 years later at Auburn, and then now uh, obviously 2 years after that he's going to be getting it at Western Kentucky as well. And I think that's probably the consensus that he's the starter as well. I mean, the guy's absolutely a unit. I mean, if you look at him, I mean, over 6'5", and over that kind of 240 um, in the weight category. So I mean, really gives him some good vision downfield, and did have a really good season at Texas State last year. Kind of felt like he needed that season to kind of help him get back to a consistency standpoint, for sure. And I understand the thing on the health coming out of fall camp, and for the first time in a long time, Alabama's really coming out of their camp as well, healthy for the most part as well. We've had a couple guys, just typical cramps and typical hamstring and turned ankles, uh, but we don't have any ACL injuries, we don't have any concussions, we don't have a guy who's tore his rotator cuff or anything like that. So very thankful for that, and obviously I think Alabama had one of the more um, storied off seasons and talked about off seasons, obviously with the retirement of Coach Saban to start with, and when I, I've had a lot of people ask me because I've done a couple other collabs, um, with obviously like I've done some with our Tennessee reps, LSU, and the Missouri pods as well, and they all asked me, what was your reaction, when Saban hung it up. And at first, I was at work, and you see it every year. Saban's retiring. Saban said this is his last year, or somebody starts the hoax again. So I'm like, okay, it's the hoax all over again. Um, but when Chris Lowe from ESPN reported it, I'm like, Chris Lowe and Nick Saban are literally like that. So I'm like, this is for real. And then sure enough, ESPN came up across there, and it says legendary coach Nick Saban announces retirement from coaching, and I'm like, this is the day that everybody's been dreading. So, but I thought he had a couple years left, but him coming out weeks after that and really hearing why he did it, understandable. Um, but as far as the coaching hire, I've been asked this too. I don't think Greg Byrne could have hired anybody better. Um, as far as you lose a six-time at your school a title coach. So what do you go do? You go get the guy who played in the title game literally 3 days prior to him being hired at Alabama. So um, obviously, I think the hire was great. I really like what Kalen DeBoer has really brought to the program. Felt like we kind of needed a injection of energy, um, and not necessarily from Saban's standpoint, but just he's brought in some younger coaches, some guys who have a little more intensity to them. Still great coaches, and I think are going to get more out of the guys. I think that was Saban's hardest job the last couple years was trying to find good quality coaches because a lot of these coaches were asking him, "How long are you going to be there? How long are you coaching for?" And he couldn't give them really a solid answer. So a lot of these coaches didn't want to come there with that type of uncertainty. So I think the coaching staff he's brought in, yeah, we suffered some transfer portal exodus there. Everybody was kind of poaching our guys for a while, but sure enough, the bleeding stopped, and we did get a lot of really key guys through the portal as well, and a lot of key guys really stayed on as well. A lot of our skill positions that I think obviously will show out this season. So I think overall, 24/7 Sports today came out with their composite team talent rankings today, the top 20 most talented teams in the country. And despite all that happened in the offseason, Alabama's still at one. And so I think that's a testament to the staff. You see how Kalen DeBoer's already done on the recruiting scene. all the media saying he can't recruit. He's not going to be able to do this, and here he is landing all these 5 stars still, and really getting them adapted to his culture. So um, I think super off season for us as well. I don't think we could have asked for anything better, especially in the winds of change and in the transition period for sure. So I think I think overall, I give our off or I give our off season probably an A on that side because of just how we handled it. The guys who are there want to be there. They're really bought into the program. They're bought into this change, and I think it's going to show on the field for sure. So I'm excited about it. It's I haven't been this excited for Alabama football in probably about 4 years. So it's I'm excited every year, but this year I'm a little more excited because it's new, it's exciting, and I'm excited to see what this holds. So we all knew the day would come. So we are definitely interested in that. Any comments on Saban hanging it up or anything like that? Yes, it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm excited about it, and that kind of leads us into our second topic. We're going to talk about the Alabama offense against the Hilltopper defense. So, Stephen, I'll let you kind of start us off. So, really on the defensive side of the ball, what's your outlook for the season on the defensive side of the ball? Any key players? Any areas of concern there? And what do you expect out of the defense this year for the Hilltoppers? Yeah, kind of translating off of that, yeah, just going to the offensive side of the ball. That's what I'm the most excited about for this year because, if you go back to 20, really 18, 19, and 20, seeing the type of offense Alabama had, under Steve Sarkisian's tutelage as OC, and the type of quarterback play we had, wide receiver play that we had, you know, we really got after that high octane offense. And it was ironic to me that Nick Saban, for so long, hated the no huddle offense, hated the up tempo offense, and then he did it, and he did it better than anybody um, for a few years, and adapted to the change. And I think with Kalen DeBoer, if you watch what he did at Washington, and really like Fresno State, Indiana as well, he's introduced these concepts of just a lot of these short, quick passes, but also isn't afraid to take shots down the field as well. And it's a lot of mesh patterns, a lot of flooding zones, a lot of crossing patterns, a lot of pre-snap eye candy, as he calls it, which is something that Alabama's really been missing the last couple years, that we kind of got away from. And so now I think we're trying to get back to that, kind of, getting the defense to show us what they're already in without really having to really snap the ball. Pre-snap eye candy can kind of pull a linebacker or pull a safety up, and it can kind of let you know where you're at. But I feel as on the opposite side of the ball, I've got a very positive outlook. Of course, we returned Jalen Milroe at quarterback. Probably one of the most dynamic athletes in the sport today. And really, I think has really developed over the offseason to become a better passer, but isn't going to shy away from taking anything away from what he can do with his legs as well. And then I think if you look at the backfield, Jam Miller and Justice Haynes, really kind of going to headline, kind of that two-headed monster in that room as well. And offensive line, I think we're going to be very improved. That was kind of the Achilles heel for us last year, especially the problems we had at center a year ago. But you bring in the number one center in the transfer portal. You return a lot of key guys. Some guys slim down, get stronger. A little more quicker. You bring in a new offensive line coach and Chris Kapalovic, who is probably one of the best ones out there that Saban wanted to hire for years. And they're more physical. But then you look at our wide receiver unit, and the only word that I can use to describe them is speed. And we have a lot of it. Kendrick Law has been clocked at over 21 miles an hour. Jeremy Bernard also in the 20-mile-an-hour club. Kobe Prentice over 21 miles an hour. Ryan Williams was clocked at 21.7, I think. And we've got one receiver who is actually a redshirt junior, and he's actually from this area in the Geneva County area. He played at Geneva County High School. Emmanuel Henderson, he's actually probably one of the fastest guys on the team. He's clocked closer to that 23 mile an hour range. But really, all the guys, the average of our 14 wide receivers is like 20.7 miles an hour. So safe to say our wide receiver core is fast. And that's what I'm excited to see a lot of these guys get involved in. A lot of these people have said, oh, Kalen DeBoer's going to go to a passing offense and they're not going to run the ball ever like Alabama has. Well, if they look last year, yeah, Washington had over 5,000 yards passing, but they also had almost 2,000 yards rushing. So that says a lot about about the kind of balance that he has, and didn't really have the best tailback room, but had one in Dylan Johnson last year who was very good, and now he's got several high caliber guys at Alabama. So I'm excited to see kind of what this offense looks like. I think it's going to be a lot more free. I think it's going to be explosive. I think it's going to give a lot of defenses some problems. I think, he didn't show much in the spring game. It was a very simple game plan. He even said, we're not showing hardly anything. So I think you're going to see it's very up-tempo. It's going to be a lot of those short to intermediate throws, of which, we as the fans of the Crimson Tide have really wanted to see Jalen improve on. But I think with what they're going to be able to use with, a two-back set, what they're going to be used with 12 personnel, 10 personnel, 11 personnel, I think the possibilities are endless. I mean, there were several plays last year I watched in the Sugar Bowl when Washington played Texas where three guys were wide open just about every play. And just from the concepts that were being drawn up as well. So I think it's going to be a really interesting year on offense, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. And kind of like you said, I think he wants to put on a show his first game, but not going to underestimate Western Kentucky because, like you said, y'all do have a lot of talent back as well, and I think y'all have got a very good front. It's going to be a good first test for us as well. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see what we do against that. So now we'll swap ends. So so we'll just swap each side of the ball here. I'll talk a little bit about the Alabama defense, and then I'll let you discuss y'all's offense as well. So I think starting on our defense, looking forward to that too, because like you said, y'all run a 4-2-5, sometimes a 3-3-5. Well, Kane Womack, we brought him over from obviously head coach at South Alabama. He is now the DC, high energy guy, very smart guy, and runs a 4-2-5. Going to look a little bit different than Saban's 4-3 that he was accustomed to running, but I think gives a lot more options to kind of match up against these teams that like to spread you out. We saw 2 years ago. We really struggled on the road at Tennessee because their offense just spread us out, and we were so spread out all over the field. But I think with the 4-2-5, it allows you to obviously substitute a lot. We've got a lot of guys in the depth chart that are very capable of playing a lot of positions. I think we got guys who are very versatile when it comes to all the positions in a 4-2-5 who can play really multiple positions, and that's kind of starting in the secondary, which all off season long has kind of been, the area of concern for Alabama because of the transfer portal, because of the NFL draft. But I think with the guys you have coming back like Malachi Moore and obviously you have guys like Devontae Smith coming back as well, who was really predicted to break out last year before his injury. But then you bring in guys. You bring in Keon Sabb from Michigan, who just obviously won a title, played at a very high level there last year. You bring in guys like Deshaun Jones from Wake Forest. He's got a lot of good experience, second team All ACC. You bring in King Mack from Penn State, Cam Howard from Charlotte, and then you bring in Domani Jackson, who was the number one corner 2 years ago from USC. And you just add a lot of these guys, and then you bring in 3 5-star true freshmen who were the number 1, 2, and 3 corner in the class this past year. So I think, we definitely replaced a lot of those guys, and I'm excited to see what they can do, and I've been hearing great things about all of them through camp. The front, I think, is going to be scary. I haven't said that in a while, really since about 2018, 2019. But I think our front is going to be lethal this year because of the experience we have, because of the length that we have, and just the overall tenacity of the defense that is going to be run. I mean, they're literally calling it swarm defense, of where everybody swarms to the ball carrier. And that presents a lot of opportunities for our edge guys, the bandit position, the wolf position. Really, primarily, their only job is to get after the quarterback or to get after the ball carrier. And the versatility in the defense is extremely important. Kane was talking about, how they can show like they're stacking the box with only 6, but then, post snap, you have 8 or 9 guys in the box already. So very versatile in stopping that. And it's sure enough, being kind of helps you avoid being spread out by some of these higher octane offenses. And then in the middle, we have Deontay Lawson back as our signal caller. And, on the other side of him, Jihad Campbell, obviously. Each of those guys are capable of calling signals on the defense, which is, I think, huge when you have 2 guys who can do it. And just overall, the depth, I think, this year, especially in our front. I mean, we've got probably 10 or 12 guys who can really rotate on the front, inside linebacker and outside. We've probably got about 8 or 9 who can really rotate as well. So I think that's going to be key to getting a lot of these younger guys playing time too. Because after this year, we will lose some talent again to the NFL as well. But I'm excited about the defense. I'm excited to see what they can do, and we'll just see how it looks. I'm really anxious to see how they look. So I'll let you talk about the Hilltopper offense now, because I know there's a lot to talk about there, because y'all got some transfers, and y'all aren't anything to really bat an eye at. Y'all are pretty solid on that offensive side of the ball. Yeah, I agree absolutely. I mean, this is going to be an interesting test, for our defense, for this new look because just like you said, y'all have led the country in passing yards, especially a season ago, and really about the last, 4 or 5 years, it's either been y'all have been at the top or y'all have been the top, and that's something that I know our staff is probably checking into as well, and I think now we'll shift to our keys to the game. I think, and we'll just do three keys each. I think definitely one of the keys for Alabama is getting off the field on third down against an offense like this. High octane passing offense. You want to try to create situations where they have to get a tough first down. You want to create the third and eights, the third and tens, the third and twelves. Like you want to do so well on first and second down that you get yourself into a good situation on third down to get off of to get off as well. And then I think really the second key for us is just I think it would be attack early. Probably get off to a good start and keep that consistency throughout the game. Don't have any let up moments or don't have any of the moments where you think you can just coast. Don't coast even in a game. You know it doesn't matter who you're playing at all. And I think the third one would just be just execution in the first game. This is the first game of a new era. If we throw it back, almost 18 years ago to Nick Saban's first game, I was there in person. As a third grader and or as a fourth grader, and his first game of the season. They played Western Carolina, and the very first offensive play of the game. They take a 65-yard touchdown run all the way to the house, and we won that game 49-10 or anything like that, and so just kind of the same things. They started quick in that game, and I think that's kind of what we got to do there as well. So, Stephen, what's your three keys for your Hilltoppers against the Crimson Tide in this game? Absolutely. I mean, that's the objective of every team as well. And yeah, so it should be extremely interesting. So we're going to jump into our final predictions for the game, and so I did predictions on my page, on my Instagram page. I do game predictions each year. I kind of do, uh, I say what the record was the previous year, and who the key players are, and the series record overall. But just between the two teams, Alabama does have a 3-0 record against the Hilltoppers. 2008, 12, and 16 are the only three times they've ever played each other. But a stat that I saw that just really intrigued me. Alabama had 34 points per game average on offense last year. Western Kentucky had 30.4. So you're looking at 34 and really like 31 points a game. So offenses were pretty even last year for these two teams. And like you said, high octane passing offense from the Hilltoppers. So that isn't anything to just shake your head at all. Sorry, guys. I think we lost him for a minute. Okay. Yep. I was about to say you just. Yeah, I was about to say you just went away for a second, but I think we're good now. Um, but yeah, I mean, just between these two offenses, I mean, the fact that you have two high octane offenses from a year ago is awesome in this game. Um, so prediction wise, brand new era of Alabama football, first home game. You're opening up the season, and it's. I'm very glad that Kalen DeBoer has the privilege of not just even his first game, but his first two games at home are going to be at night. And um, I've been to several Alabama games in my lifetime. I've been to close to 100, and I've been to the 11 o'clock kickoffs. I've been to the 2:30s. I've been to the 6 o'clocks and the 8 o'clocks. And 11 o'clocks, they're not my favorite, but they're interesting in the morning because you're playing before everybody else, and then you got the rest of the afternoon to watch the other guys. Um, 2:30s are always fun, but there's something about when the sun goes down and the lights come on in Tuscaloosa. It's louder, and yes, this isn't a marquee SEC game. No, it's not a top 10 battle, top 25 battle, but it's the first game of a new era. I think there's going to be an enthusiasm with the fans. Obviously, the players are going to be excited about it. It's going to be really kind of, I think, the talk of the weekend. A fresh start in Tuscaloosa. This is a new era here. It's going to be everybody's going to be zoned into it. So, but when you're a team that comes into Tuscaloosa, everybody, at least for the last 17 years, and I still think to this point, I've had people say, when is the dynasty over? And people are like, is it over when Saban calls it quits? Is it over when Alabama doesn't win a title for 5 or 6 years? And I heard someone say a few years ago, it's it's over when Alabama plays on the road somewhere, or they even play at home, and your fans charge the field after they beat them. If it's just any other day, and then you beat Alabama, then they just all go home and just say, okay, yeah, we beat Alabama. That's the day the dynasty's over. Like that's the day that it's like it doesn't mean anything to beat Alabama anymore. So I think every team that comes into Tuscaloosa has it on their mind. Like we got a shot at the king here. Like we've got a shot at the top dogs here, and we're coming into their place, and let's go shock. Like let's go just shock everybody here. Um, as far as the game goes, like I said, I did my predictions a little over a month ago. Try to do them closer to the season. Um, I think our offense really kind of gets off to a good start. I think the game is very competitive, and I think it's going to be very physical because, like you said, y'all got some physical receivers. Obviously, have a good passing offense. Y'all's front on the defensive side is great. Um, and like I said, this isn't. Everybody considers week one, their cupcake week. Well, this is not a cupcake for Alabama at all. I mean, this is a team that won a bowl game last year. This is a team that drastically improved last year despite having the injuries that they had. So and they do return a lot of talent and are really going to compete in their conference as well. But I think at the end of the day, I think probably just because of the state of the two programs, I think probably talent takes over at the end of the day. um, competitive early on. So I got to give it to the Crimson Tide. I think a 35-21 will um, probably a score that I can go with right now. Could be more, could be less, but I think kind of a 35, 38, 21 would probably be a good score for this game. Well, fantastic! It's always going to be I think it's going to be a competitive game. I'm excited to see it, as always. And just as we wrap up here, obviously, Stephen, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be on here tonight. Obviously, super glad to have you on here, and obviously, we wish the Hilltoppers great luck on the entire season of football and basketball, and obviously the continued success of your podcast and all your pages. And everybody, don't forget, if you want to find Steven at Topper Talk, he's on Instagram, Twitter. Are you on TikTok? Right? Are you on TikTok? He is on TikTok as well, and he is also obviously on YouTube. Um, and I've watched a couple of his episodes as well. Great stuff they talk about. So y'all support him as well. And if you want to learn more about the College Huddle, you can go to thecollegehuddle.com. You can see all of the members. They are broken down by conference. You can see articles that are posted there each week. You can find links to Twitter, Instagram, YouTube's, TikToks, anything, anybody that you want to listen to overall. And if you want to join the College Huddle. If you are a podcaster and you see a school on there that isn't represented and that is your school, uh, you can reach out to either me or Steven or any of the members in the College Huddle, and we can put you in touch with people who can help you out with that as well. But Steven, as again, we thank you for joining, and we hope y'all have a great season and looking forward to August the 31st. Yes, sir. We appreciate y'all.